Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the channel, and today we're here with a beginner's guide for Genshin Impact before the anniversary comes out in a week and a half's time. And today, this anniversary is for both new and returning players. We will be going step by step. I'll be explaining everything. There will be timestamps as well, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. But yeah, this is going to be hopefully dropping before the 2.1 live stream happening later this Friday. I'm recording this, of course, by now you guys must have realized, before the live stream. But if there's any changes in the live stream that applies to this guide, I will be making a video on it. I'll be making a video on the live stream anyway, so be sure to be on the lookout for that if it hasn't already happened. But yeah, let's get right into it. So we're starting off with, of course, we have to talk about it. The Statue of the Seven, the world, and the stamina system. They're all interconnected. The world of Genshin consists of the continent Teviat and features 7 known regions: Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlan, Snezhnaya, and one region outside of Teviat, which is Conrea. Currently, the game features 3 regions: Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma being the most recent release in version 2.0. Within each continent, we have a statue present known as the Statue of the Seven, linking to the Archon/God of that continent. When you approach each statue, you will unlock that specific area to be viewed in the map, allowing you to locate other teleport waypoints and Wave Rider waypoints within that area. The Statue of the Seven in Mondstadt and Liyue give you additional stamina with each level you increase on that statue. The ones in Inazuma, however, do not. They provide you with keys to unlock certain shrines and constellations for your traveler. More on that later on. How do you increase the level, you ask? Well, you go around the world obtaining small items known as oculi, and as seen in my box, you get enough to max out the ones in Mondstadt and Liyue plus 1 extra. It is highly advised that you try and unlock these Statue of the Sevens around the world and waypoints for easier access, but not just that, but also to get healing points, as being near a Statue of the Seven heals your characters if they are dead or at low HP. Now let's talk about the main character, or the Traveler as they are called in-game. Depending on your choice at the start, you will play as either the male twin or the female twin, with very minimal differences between the two. The Traveler is the first character you will own and use. The difference between the Traveler and the rest of the characters available is that when you approach a Statue of the Seven, depending on the region, you can change the Traveler's element to another element. At the start of the game, as you begin in Mondstadt, you get access to the animal/wind element, and then in Liyue, you gain access to Geo. With Inazuma's latest release, it allows you to get the Electro element. The Traveler is also the easiest to level up, arguably, as the Ascension materials required are very easy to obtain and are linear to your adventure rank. Again, more on that later on. Due to this ease, it is generally recommended to work on your Traveler, as they are still relatively good and great for beginning players to work with, especially the Animo and Electro versions of the Traveler. The talent levels or your skills on each version, however, will not transfer over, and you will have to level each one from the very top as well. Now let's talk a bit about constellations alongside the Traveler as well. Constellations are basically the dupe of this game. Now, as you get more dupes, you can insert that as constellations on your character, which will unlock more passives, increase the level of your talents, and so on and so forth. This just makes your character a whole lot better. However, it is generally not completely required for all characters. It just makes them better. You can still play the game without getting constellations, and you can play the game completely free to play without having to go the extra mile. But yes, that is the main thing to know about constellations. Ascension of weapons and characters. Just like most gachas, you will level up your characters using a certain material, in this case EXP books, but at a certain point you will hit a level cap, after which you will need certain ascension materials in order to uncap the level of the weapon or character. In the case of a weapon, most of the ascension materials are obtained via domains or wild mobs, and for the characters, you will be fighting elite bosses located across the world of Teviat, such as the Oceanid or the Electro Hypostases. You also will need to beat up some wild mobs for the characters as well. As you grow in adventure rank and as higher level caps approach, you will start obtaining rare materials, but they have low drop rates. As such, the game allows you to use a crafting bench located in each city to combine low rarity materials into higher rarity materials, so that you are not spending massive amounts of resin just trying to obtain the higher rarity drop. Adventure rank and the importance. Let's talk a bit about adventure rank, or AR. AR is going to be extremely important, especially if you intend to travel to Inazuma. While Liyue is accessible even before you complete the story in Mondstadt, which is the starting region, of course, Inazuma, the third region, is locked behind completing the story in both Mondstadt and Liyue as well as being AR 30. AR also links to the world level, which is the scaling of the game and the way the difficulty increases as you rank up. At certain ARs, you will face an Ascension trial, which is always at the same place and the same enemies, but higher levels. Once you increase your world level by beating that Ascension quest, you then face stronger enemies in the world. You can challenge higher level domain stages, higher level boss fights, and in general also gain better rewards from all of them as a result. AR also unlocks various rewards such as the Ascension material for your traveler slash main character, Primo Gems, other general materials, Mora, and Fates to summon. But not just that, a lot of the Archon slash story quests are locked behind AR. Now, your question might be, how do you raise AR? Well, there's various ways. Let's talk about various quests. There are three types of quests in Genshin primarily. The first is called the Archon quest, which is the main story, and that is what will give you the main lore and important factors to the story and will allow you to continue on in the game and give you the story of the main character. Story quests are side quests for some of the characters that you will play with in the future or have played in the past. These give you more of an insight into a character's backstories and in some cases give you an insight into a potential plot point for the future. This also allows you to use that character if you don't own it already. For example, you might have Jean's story quest, which will allow you to use Jean for a short period of time. There is also a feature called Hangouts, which are visual novel-esque storylines with multiple endings, and it's currently out for a limited set of characters. There has not been an update in the last 2 or 3 major updates to it, unfortunately, and there is no info on whether or not we will continue to see updates for it. Work quests are the final piece of the puzzle, and they are stories for some of the NPCs placed around the world that give a bit of an insight into how the citizens and denizens of the world of Teviat live and survive, quite literally. Resin and how to maximize the usage of resin. For those who have played gachas, resin is basically your energy that you can use to farm materials, equipment, and fight bosses to obtain rare items. There are 2 items that allow you to restore resin, one being fragile resin, obtained through various means such as events, battle pass, and transient resin, obtained through the Serenitea Pot, and more on that later. Both give 60 resin, and however, the transient resin only lasts a week and you have to use it before then. Fragile and transient resin both are recommended to be saved up by AR45. Resin in Genshin has been a very controversial topic for a lot of people, with a lot of people having their complaints about it, and correctly so. You are given 160 resin, and with most domains and boss fights costing between 20 to 60 resin, it can be problematic as the restoration time for 1 resin is 8 minutes, meaning 160 resin takes approximately 21.33 hours to restore. That's a lot of time to wait. As such, you need to be extremely smart, especially early game, on how you use your resin and to avoid overcapping or leaving it at the max cap for a long time so that you don't waste your resin. For early game purposes, you want to avoid farming the equipment part of this game, artifacts, until you are AR 40/45. We'll talk about more on that in the artifact farming section. Instead, your job early game will be to obtain materials and ascension mats for your characters and your weapons, as it'll be higher priority to work and level on your units than to allow yourself to work on artifacts. It is also advised you make sure you use your resin at the start of every week on boss fights such as Devalin, Child, Azdaha, and Andreas in order to get a lot of rare materials and potentially prototypes, and again, more on that later. It is also beneficial to use your resin on these weekly bosses because they also apply to the battle pass, as well as the fact that they have a special half stamina on them for the first 3 boss fights you do, so very important on that. Tests and exploration. Some easy immediate ways to just to follow the story and do the main quest, but you can also get AR by opening the 100s and thousands of chests that are available in the regions, and on top of that, completing your daily commissions helps out on getting more AR. These chests will also provide you with a great way to gain materials such as random artifacts, weapons, EXP books, and just generally items that can be handy in leveling your items. And of course, as I mentioned earlier on, they help out in increasing your AR. So it's very, very important to get opening those chests. Next up, focusing on a team or a few characters you like. As mentioned, resin is super hard to work with, and with how limited you are, it is practically impossible to work on all your characters at the same time. And therefore, it is recommended to work on only a few characters primarily at the start, and to be precise, 4 at the start due to your ability to run 4 characters on the team in solo play. There's also a recommendation to make sure to at least have 2 main DPS units to prepare for a special mode called the Spiral Abyss. In the Spiral Abyss, after floor 5, you will need to have 2 teams of 4, and therefore you need to work on at least 8 characters to prepare for the Abyss. Yes, you can take less than 4 characters per team in the Abyss as well, specifically of floor 5 onwards, but it is generally advised to have like 4 for both 4 on both sides to make it a bit easier for yourself. Free characters and the Spiral Abyss. The game features a lot of free characters, especially for starting players. For example, at the start of the game, you are given a total of 4 free characters: Lisa, Amber, Kea, and yourself, the Traveler. The game then provides you with a character at AR20, that is Barbara, a great starting Hydro healer. Finally, you are given Xiangling after you complete the entirety of floor 3 in the Spiral Abyss. It is highly recommended to do this earlier than later, as she is a really good unit for especially early game purposes. And speaking of the Spiral Abyss, it is a long and arduous challenge where you must challenge each floor with increasing levels of difficulty. And once you break through to floor 8, you will enter floor 9 to 12. And this is where things get interesting. Floor 9 to 12 changes every 2 weeks, with new sets of enemies coming every update, as well as a new buff slash debuff. This, however, is endgame material and something players should only do when they feel ready, as it's not something that can be rushed unless you wail heavily and invest a lot of time. While floors 1 to 8 do not reset the rewards, floors 9 to 12 do, as they not only change, but they also reset the rewards. And as such, if you clear each floor with 9 stars and under the required time limit, you will get a total of 150 primos from each floor, or 600 primos in total from floors 9 to 12. Artifact farming. Artifact farming is going to be your meat and potatoes for the game once you are done with the story and regularly completing the Spiral Abyss. As mentioned earlier, artifact farming should be primarily done after AR40, as that is when you start getting 5-star artifacts, which is the highest tier of artifacts. AR45 is usually the recommended spots, but due to the high world level scaling, the AR45 stage can be quite harsh for players, and usually this is when co-oping can be beneficial. There are various sets available that fit the playstyle and the way each character is built, and therefore a lot of the characters require certain sets. As such, you are going to be spending a lot of time in certain domains and dungeons trying to complete them in order to obtain the right set for the unit. But not only that, you're also going to be looking at the main stat and the substat to ensure you are optimizing the character, which can be a lot more difficult as you will have no control over that, and therefore are relying on RNG in order to get the right artifact you want. You ideally want to also look at the bonus sets as well and make sure that you are equipping the right piece on the right unit and the right amount on the right unit. There will be a follow-up video soon, more on artifact farming and what stats and bonuses are best for what type of unit. Events while they are available. Genshin features regular events every update. That features an event shop that allows you to obtain a lot of Ascension materials, EXP books, Mora, and more. But some events also allow you to obtain either a free weapon or free character. For example, recently in the Thunder Sojourn event in version 2.0, players could obtain a free Beto, and prior to that, we could also obtain a free Catalyst weapon in the previous version. Those are highly advised to be cleared and attempted in order to ensure that you are able to maximize the amount of materials you can obtain, as every little bit counts due to the resin constraints. Not only just that, all units require a special limited material to maximize their potential known as crowns, and you can procure at least one through an event per update. Co-op. Make sure to optimize your early game by doing a lot of co-op, as you want to make sure you are winning all of your domains, boss fights, and such. While one boss fight is primarily solo play, the rest aren't, and this is the best time to bring your friends in. Co-op unlocks at AR16, and while you cannot jump into a higher ranked player's world to take advantage of their resources and obtain higher level mats slash artifacts early, you can get a friend higher than you in your world to get help. Therefore, do not be scared to get a friend who's higher level into your world, as you can clear through domains and fights much easier and faster than you would have solo. The shop and currency. When you gain access to the shop in Genshin, there's a couple of menus that pop up. Most recently, the game featured and added an option to buy costumes, more specifically for Jean and Barbara. They cost the premium currency Genesis crystals. These crystals are what you can buy from the top-up shop and can be used for either purchasing bundles or costumes. You can also use these Genesis crystals and convert them to Primogem, the main source of summon currency, at a 1-to-1 ratio. Primogems can be used to buy Intertwined Fates or Acquaint Fates for summoning on the banners. Alternatively, there is a subscription pass called the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, which gives you 300 Genesis crystals immediately and then 90 Primogems each day for 30 days. This is extremely great value if you're a low spender, as this is basically little less than 2 multis per month for the cost of $5. Finally, there are two more types of currency that you can get by summoning on banners and can be used in the shop. The first is Masterless Stardust, and you can get 15 Stardust every 3-star weapon you get, and it can be used in Paimon's Bargains to get either 5 Intertwined Fate and 5 Acquaint Fate, which resets per month, or the other Ascension materials. For 4-star characters, weapons, or higher, you get the other currency called Masterless Star Glitter, which gives you access to a more premium shop. This area allows you to buy exclusive weapons, dupes of 4-star characters, or more intertwined and acquaint fate, this one being unlimited rather than being limited and waiting to reset per month. The Star Glitter shop also features Ascension items, however, they are absolutely not worth as they are extremely easy to farm and obtain, and you are wasting potential summon currency slash reinvestments. And it's the same case with the dupes of the 4-star characters, as you will inevitably pull them from a banner. Banner types and explaining each banner. Now, speaking of banners, let's talk about each type of banner that is available in the game. When you begin, there's a special banner called the Beginner's Wish, where you can do 2 multis and get a guaranteed Noel on the first multi, and a guaranteed 4-star slash 5-star character on the second. This is not time limited and has the first multi discounted by 20% and only costs 8 Acquaint Fate and gives you a really solid 4-star character off the bat. However, the new units on the banner do not feature the latest 4-stars, and for some, that can be a deal breaker. Speaking of faith, let's talk about the difference of the rest of the banners available. There are generally 3 types of banners available: the limited character banner, the limited weapon banner, and the general banner. The limited character and weapon banners use Intertwined Fate, and these banners feature characters and weapons that are not only rate up, but are also limited and cannot be obtained in the general pool banner. The limited character banner features a pity of 90 summons or 9 multis slash 10 draws, and guarantees you a 5-star that has a 50-50 chance of being the rate up. If you fail to obtain the 5-star in the 50-50 chance, and you do an additional 90 summons, you will get the rate of 5-star character guaranteed right after. There is also a soft pity at 75 where you begin to have a higher chance to pull a 5-star, and if you fail to get to pity in the one time you summon, the next limited character banner will leave where you left off, or start where you left off, I should say, and allow you to carry on pity from there. So say I fail to get Ayaka in the multis I've done, and I'm at pity 50. In Yoimiya's banner, I will start from pity 50 as well. The limited weapon banner, on the other hand, is a little bit more difficult in terms of pity. You get a 5-star weapon earlier here at 80 summons or 8 multis, and it also carries over just like the character banner, and there is a soft pity at 65 instead, but it's like the character banner. There are 2 rate ups in this limited weapon banner, so there are 2 5-stars in this banner. This makes it a lot more difficult to get the one you actually want. Luckily, MiHoYo recently added an extra pity step in the limited weapon banner, in which if you fail to get the 5-star weapon you want and chose twice, or pulled it twice I should say, then the third time you will get the 5-star weapon of your choice. One thing to note, however, is that this extra pity, or in the game it's called weapon course, it does not carry over onto the next banner, unlike the general pity. The general pool, on the other hand, is something you avoid using Primogems on completely, and you use only the free Acquaint Fates you get, and it also has its own pity of 90. The Battle Pass. The Battle Pass is just like a lot of other games in which you start at level 1, go all the way to level 50, with a lot of rewards in between, such as Fragile Resin, Fates, and more. Buying the premium version of the Battle Pass nets you an option to get more items, including a choice between 5 exclusive weapons to the Battle Pass and Intertwined Fates. The weapons have not changed since the Battle Pass began, and as such, there should be a cause for concern slash question as to when they will change the weapons in the Battle Pass. This costs $10 and is up to you on whether you feel that you can maximize it, and it can be bought anytime during its active period, and therefore you can wait until you hit level 50 and then buy the Battle Pass if you want, or the premium side of it. The Battle Pass starts at the start of every major update and ends a few days before the next major update occurs, so it's live for just under 6 weeks. So like I said, you can buy it at the start or at the end of the Battle Pass at any point. Sigils. Sigils are a very interesting object in Genshin, with you being only able to get them through Statue of the Seven rewards, opening chests, and, well, in Leeway specifically, through small rocky outcrops. Sigils in Mondstadt and Leeway primarily are used to get Ascension materials, constellations for your traveler, or better known as dupes, I should say, and prototypes, aka craftable weapon materials. In Inazuma, however, sigils are used to upgrade the Sakura tree in Narukami Shrine, which yields you amazing rewards such as fates, talent materials, craftable weapon materials, and fragile resin. Serenitea Pot. The Serenity Pot is a recent addition to Genshin and is basically the housing system of the game. Here you can build and make your own home by obtaining furniture blueprints, wood from trees, and crafting them to make the perfect realm for your characters to reside in. This is a bit more advanced, but you can also take advantage by making the perfect sets for your characters to live in, which allows you to get primo gems if it links with the character you own. There's also a currency that's generated over your time in your realm called realm currency and can be used to buy artifact leveling materials, transient resin, EXP books, and more. This is also a great way to increase your companionship level with your characters as you place them and get a passive way to increase it. The Adventure Book. The adventure book is every adventurer's handy guide to succeeding in traveling around Teviat. But seriously, the Adventurer's Handbook is a great way for you to get access to what your commissions are for the day, obtain the locations of enemies to be able to farm them, the active domains of the day, and has chapter rewards. What are chapter rewards? Well, they are basically missions for you to complete, and in return, it provides a lot of AR, materials for use, primo gems, and artifacts. It is highly recommended to push as much as you can and clear the chapter rewards as the benefits of getting it done early are extremely high. Elemental Resonance. Let's talk about the elements in the game. Currently, the characters available have the following elements: Cryo, Hydro, Pyro, Electro, Anemo, and Geo. There is also a seventh element called Dendro, but since that is not available in the game, we will swerve away from it. The seven elements can interact with each other and can bolster damage and or create beneficial effects for yourself. For example, hitting an enemy with cryo and then using a hydro character on that enemy will freeze the enemy. Similarly, hitting an enemy with cryo but then using a pyro character causes melt, which deals extra damage. As such, there's various combinations that you can do with the above and link into. There will be a chart for you guys to look at while watching this video. There is also a specific mechanic called elemental resonance, which applies if you have a full party of 4 units. This is linked into what characters you have in the party. For example, if you have 2 cryo characters, this will boost your crit rate against frozen or affected by cryo enemies, and be affected by electro for 40% less time. Each type has its own benefits, and they will be on the screen right now for you to read off if you want. Weapons, or craftable weapons. There are 5 types of weapons in this game: Claymore, Sword, Polearm, Catalyst, and Bow. Each character as such has an assigned element and weapon type, and therefore can only use the weapon of that type. The weapon also features a main stat, substat, and an affix/passive that adds on to the weapon effect as a whole. When you pull dupes of weapons, you can refine the main weapon with the dupe in order to improve its passive ability. There are obviously summonable weapons in the game, as mentioned earlier by the limited weapon banner and general planner, but this game also features something called craftable weapons. Craftable weapons are great alternatives to summonable weapons as they are crafted using farmable material, usually from mining crystal chunks, white iron chunks, amethyst, and inazuma, and such. Along with mining, you need prototypes, which are freely given through the handbook, sigil shop, Sakura tree, and some other alternatives as well. But in actuality, the best way to get them is through defeating weekly bosses. Well, this is the pro and the con, in that you can obviously get them through beating weekly bosses. However, the drop rate is extremely low and you will be lucky enough to get even one of a type per week. Some events, as mentioned earlier, also give free weapons and can be useful for various units in the game. Treasure Compass and Reputation System. The Reputation System is a mechanic/side system that is available in each region. This is unlocked after reaching AR25 and completing a certain part of the prologue in Mondstadt, AR29, and a certain story quest in Chapter 1, Act 2 in Leeway, and for Inazuma, you need to complete Chapter 2, Act 1, and the Commissioner's Commission to unlocking it. The reputation system is different for each region. For Mondstadt and Leeway, it goes up to level 8, and for Inazuma, it goes up to level 10. And for each city, you get various rewards, such as cooking recipes, gadgets to use, such as an equip to increase movement speed while gliding, a name card, and a wing glider with the theme of the city/region. There are also 2 really important gadgets while you level your reputation, and that is the Treasure Compass and an Oculus Resonance Stone. These help you find chests and oculi respectively. Usually the reputation system is leveled by completing world quests, exploring the region, clearing bounties and requests given by the person you interact with for the reputation system. Food. Also, speaking of recipes, food in this game is extremely useful. Some food items help you revive units, restore health, and the usual things you would expect. But there are some recipes that increase your attack, restore your stamina, decrease stamina consumption while swimming and climbing, and even some that help you get cold too fast, or avoid you from getting cold too fast, I should say. It is highly recommended to make sure you cook some food and collect as many recipes as you can in order to take advantage of the strength it provides. Stellar Reunion. Now, for returning players exclusively, this is something I might not be able to show you. There might be something on screen right now. But if you haven't locked for 14 days or haven't unlocked Stellar Reunion in 45 days, you should be able to unlock this catch-up event. It is currently not available right now to access due to the developers working on it for version 2.1 and updating it. But for those wondering, returning players will get an immediate claimable login bonus and a 7-day login bonus reward. And then there is a special set of missions called Homeward Path, in which you must complete objectives such as daily missions, beating bosses, and certain enemies, to which you get rewards, and the end reward being a 4-star reward. And finally, there is the Reunion Blessing, which gives the player double drops 3 times a day for 21 days in version 2.1, and this applies to domains and leyline blossoms. These attempts reset each day, so it is vital for a returning player to take advantage of them. And finally, the last thing, this one's a simple one: redeem codes. During the live stream, and sometimes randomly, the social media team distributes codes that will help you get free items such as primogems and such. This can be done by going into options, settings, account, and clicking redeem code and inputting the code. Then the items will come to your mail in-game. There is also a way to do this online, and all you have to do is go to genshin.mihoyo.com/en/gift to do so. And with that, that's it. That's all there is to this. That's the beginner's guide. We've been doing this for nearly 27 minutes. It's that long. Oh boy. Now, obviously, if I have missed out on anything, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I will make sure to pin it and heart it. I'm so glad that I could do this potentially. And like I said, if there's any changes that are going to be coming, I will be sure to make a video on it or make a small short on it to explain like how it'll change beginners guide basically, and how it can be different. But yeah, if you go on to enjoy this, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Like I said, if I missed out on anything or what your thoughts on this, has it helped in any way? But yeah, appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.